So in doing my 30-day reading challenge in the month of May, aka 31, because May has 31 days and I'm doing it for all of May, I need to read something. I need to start somewhere. So I thought of maybe trying out that try a chapter challenge tag thing. I don't think it's a tag, but it's a challenge where you take a couple books and you read the first chapter and you go from there, determining what book you want to read. Because I have no clue what I want to read right now. No clue whatsoever. I've kind of scrapped all the books I was currently reading just because I need a break from that. I'm just like putting a wall down and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna forget about you for a while. Sorry, Six of Crows. I have taken 4 books from my previous book haul, which if you haven't seen it, right there. Shameless self-plug. So I have these 4 books. I have Truth Witch by Susan Dennard, The Last Song Before Night by Ilana C. Meyer, The Wildlings by Nilanjana Roy. Sorry, I'm butchering that name so bad. And The Unnoticeables by Robert Brockway, which you've seen all of them in my last haul. So I'm gonna go ahead and start reading. I'm gonna start with Truth Witch, and we'll go with that, and I'll come back after I've read the first chapter. 8 pages was the first chapter of Truth Witch. Of course, I've taken the dust jacket off. The first chapter seems pretty interesting. It's kind of a little bit action-packed and getting into a bit what the 2 characters are. They're 2 girls who are trying to figure out how to get their way out of shit that they've dug themselves into. It is a little confusing to tell which girl's who, but not too hard. I just had to go back a page and be like, oh, okay. But yeah, I wouldn't mind continuing on with this, but we will see how the other books fare first and make my decision. I think I'm gonna try The Wildlings next and see how this chapter fares. I have to say, first chapter of The Wildlings is pretty interesting. They're cats, of course, but the first chapter is dealing with a new arrival. The cats of the neighborhood are sensing something called a sender, which is able to call out to other cats as well as other species, and they're trying to figure out where this thing is coming from, and they want to kill it. I don't know why they want to kill it. They're calling it a sender. Also, the way the cats communicate is pretty interesting. They communicate via a whisker network. They can connect through their whiskers to a link to talk to the other cats, which is so interesting. There's a kitten with them as well, and the kitten can't communicate back because the kitten's whiskers are too short, but they can hear it. So it's very, very interesting to see where this is going to go. So far, half of these books have been really interesting and I want to continue reading them. But yeah, quite interesting so far. And the first chapter was about 12 pages, so pretty nifty. Next, we're gonna go with The Unnoticeable Spy by Robert Brockway. Okay, so the first chapter of this book is only 2 pages long. It's more like a prologue than anything, and I don't know whether I should just read the next chapter, but the next chapter is in the point of view of one of the main characters, and then the second chapter is in the other, so I think I'm just gonna stop at the one chapter. But it's basically from the point of view of some unknown person at some unknown time, and they talk about how they met a guardian angel and she shot him in the face. And he continues on to talk about the universe and how it's solvable, and that humans can be being solved, and it talks about redundancies, having an appendix or having wisdom teeth, like they're redundancies, but he's talking about like the inner stuff, like spiritual and whatnot, and talking about how humans need to be solved. I don't know, it's weird. Would like to continue on with this, but I need to get on to the last book before I make my decision of what to move on to read first, which is I'm going to start the first chapter of this book, The Last Song, I keep saying The Last Song Before Night by Ilana C. Meyer. Okay, so the first chapter of Last Song Before Night was 14 pages, and pretty interesting. It goes into a murder and introduction of a few characters, which I'm sure is important. The society seems highly misogynistic, which I don't know how I feel about that, but I think it's going to like develop as time goes on, because like the one guy who got killed was just like was very narcissistic about himself and is like, oh, my children are ungrateful, my wife doesn't like blah blah blah, and it's like you can definitely tell from the synopsis and in the first chapter that only the men are the artists, like the poets and the musicians. There's only a brief glimpse of the main character Lynn, who has to like beg from her brother to play the harp or something. So this is definitely going to be a book that it's going to take some time with. I think for the purposes of this tag, I am going to continue on first with Truth Witch, followed by a close second of the Wildlings. I'm very much a mood reader, and these are just like the feelings. Like I very much want to read Truth Witch and the Wildlings equally, so I'm gonna read both of them, but I'm just gonna start with Truth Witch because I started with it in this video. Yeah, but so far like all four of the books were pretty interesting, apart from the Unnoticeables, which was only 2 pages. I don't know how that's gonna continue to unfold. We shall see. Anyway, this was a very interesting video to do, just, you know, stopping to read the first chapter of a couple books to see how I feel about them. I haven't done that before, and maybe I'll do that again in the future. I think it's definitely a good tactic to use when you can't decide what to read. Like, I was in that position. Hopefully you will see these books in a wrap-up in the future, but for now, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!